Hey guys, welcome to our preview of our EU4 into Victoria 2 mega campaign. Now in this one the diplomacy might not seem so, let's say, obvious, and it might be a bit strange compared to some other multiplayer EU4 games, mostly because once we are done with this game we will convert a save and then use it as a Victoria 2 game. Well, base for the game, right? Which means people might not make some choices they normally do. For example, Ottomans probably will focus more on Asia than into Europe, and like the blobbing will probably far different. For example, Castile and England not competing with France right away, instead going to compete with some Asian countries because they'll simply have so much space that someone will have to contest them eventually, and if they are too late to contest them, then Asia will win the game. Anyway, back to my picks. Before I made my sign-up post, I wanted to see who's gonna play what and if we actually have a decent balance in Europe, and we actually do have it right now. So now we have England, France, Castile, Portugal. In the sign-ups we had Burgundy player, but you will see that he actually didn't show up. We had Sweden, Poland, Austria, Venice, Florence, Ottomans, Moscow of course, and I believe... Have I mentioned Sweden? I think I did. I think that's pretty much it in Europe. Now my first pick was... I don't know if I mentioned Saxony, but there we are. My first pick was Milan. Actually, all of my picks were heavily contested. So my picks were Milan, Bohemia, Mamluks, and Serbia. I'm not sure in which order, but those were the picks. And I think Portugal, but Portugal got picked, so that was an option. It wasn't an option. Now the problem with Bohemia and Milan was that Bohemia, I would have a direct conflict with Saxony, which I didn't really want to, and if Saxony and Austria teamed up, well, I don't think I could have survived. Also, Poland has some interest in killing me. That wouldn't be a very pleasant game, and the expansion would be very slow because every land that you take over here is heavily protected by HRE, and if you take, for example, two provinces over here from Brandenburg, Berlin, and for example Potsdam, then you would have so much aggressive expansion that you wouldn't be able to expand for next 10 to 15 years, and it just slows down the progress so much. Back to Milan, we would have the direct contestants in Venice and Florence, possibly trying to form Italy, and both of them, well, at least Venice is stronger than me, then I would have to ally Austria and kill Venice or something like that. In any case, I didn't really felt very safe playing as Milan this game. It would seem like we would have too many enemies. Both Florence and Venice definitely want to kill us, and then I don't know if I can stop France, because France also has some interest in expanding into Savoy, which is land I would want to grab. Estimating that I wouldn't be able to fight Venice and Florence early on, which means I have to expand into Genoa and Monteferrat, and later on Savoy, but that's really hard. So then I was left with only two picks: Mamluks, which would probably be a smart choice, and Serbia. Now, the reason I didn't pick Mamluks is that I don't really enjoy playing countries that are not in Europe. I want some more action, and Mamluks would seem like you either make a deal with Ottomans or you just fight with Ottomans like during the entire game, and rest of the time you just expand into Africa, which, yes, it's nice and we would probably have a great campaign, but it would seem kinda boring. Also, the previous campaign with Serbia kinda was going my way until everyone turned against us and we were backstabbed 3 times, first by Austria, then by Ottomans, and finally by Commonwealth. It really sucked, and I wanted to prove my point that the diplomacy went different in that game, would still have a great campaign. But that didn't happen, so we are down to playing Serbia. Now, since the session was already played, I can reveal my plans. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but before the session we had agreements with the... Well, mainly my reason for picking Serbia was that I managed to get a good relations with Austria, and he agreed that we should definitely get rid of Ottomans, and he would help me if I decide to fight them early on, which was a great deal. And that was a deciding factor in me picking Serbia instead of Mamluks, actually. And then Venice also agreed to help against Ottomans because, well, they wanted a lot of land there, and they want to kill Ottomans because it's their direct contestant for the Balkans and Europe, I guess. I don't really know why they didn't expand it a little bit, but that's their choice. Anyway, the trouble with Venice is they were really, really greedy, and what they demanded from me is that I abandon Ragusa, I give them Albania, I give them Zeta, I would get my core here in Ushkup, which is Macedonia, and then I would get some lands over there in Bulgaria. In exchange for the help in a war with Ottomans, he would get the entire Greek coast over here, plus Byzantium, plus Athens, and of course plus Ragusa and Albania, and my core Zeta. I would also get Bosnia, which is kind of logical, and then we also had contested claims over Croatia, which I wanted to take mainly because it's my accepted culture, and also so I could join the HRE, which I thought would be helpful due to Austria controlling it, and since we could make Austria strong, maybe they would be able to pass some reforms. Anyway, our initial plan was to try to bait the Ottomans into attacking me or Venice in some way so that we can start an early war with them. As you can see here, both Venice, me, and Hungary have a truce with the Ottoman Empire for the first 5 years, so that means we can't really do anything about that. We can't attack them, even though I don't know if Venice has claims, but I definitely do. The one trouble is that we cannot stop them or prevent them from annexing Byzantium, aside from Austria and Venice protecting Byzantium, which would make sense and could provoke a good war with Ottomans, but we weren't sure if that would happen. Also, one most important thing for me if I was to fight Ottomans was to vassalize Albania before Ottomans could get to them. Now the trouble is, Ottomans start with troops in Salonika and Tirhala, if I am not terribly wrong, and we can check that in a moment. No, just Salonika and Yadrina. But anyway, if we both declare war on Albania day 1, you will notice that Ottomans have a core, and I get the mission to get a claim on Albania. They will still be able to get there before me, which is annoying, so what I was hoping for was that Ottomans would go for either Byzantium or one of their cores over there in Anatolia first, and then go for Albania. Meanwhile, I could start a war with Albania, start occupying their territory, and then vassalize them, which would mean that I'm in an offensive war against Ottomans, and I can call my allies in, which would then mean we would outnumber them by quite a lot. As you can see here, by the way, a ledger is disabled in the game, so we can only check it during this save game. As you can see, Austria has 38 men, 38k. Ottomans start with 26, so we definitely have a numerical superiority in the beginning. Now the trouble was that we wanted to start a very, very early war with Ottomans before Poland gets a PU over Lithuania. And that was a huge issue because we knew, going into this session, we knew Poland and Ottomans would ally each other. So there was a very realistic chance of me just getting annexed in the first session. So I kind of wanted to make sure, if this doesn't work out and we don't get into early war with Ottomans, maybe I could just strike a deal with Ottomans and see if I can live here. In that case, I would go for Ragusa, would annex Bosnia, and probably expand further into Hungary over there, just to make our land larger and to prevent Ottomans from annexing us in one war. Now you'll see if that actually happened, but definitely a very interesting upcoming session, and I will be exporting all the videos from live stream into YouTube. Anyway, we do not have any players in New World in this game, which I think is a good thing because it would slow down colonization, and I think we need colonizers to be strong to contest Asia. Otherwise, well, having... Oh, let me switch tech. Yeah, there we go. Swing. Otherwise, Ming would just be completely uncontested here and would just grow like crazy. We also had Japan player. I think this country, which I can't pronounce, or Janagar, as Gaku likes to call it, and the latecomer Timurids. Also, we had Malacca, which is played by no ones, and that is one more colonizer over there, and it will be very interesting to see how his campaign goes in this one. But Asia seems quite balanced right now, aside from Ming being really scary. Now, depending on whether Timurids decide to go east or west, this campaign will be completely different. And if they do decide to go east, then I guess Ottomans and Russia will have to stop them eventually. If not, then Ottomans, Russia will be tied up fighting Timurids, while I guess colonizers like Castile, England, and France will have to deal with Ming. Now, I'm not sure if they can actually get there quick enough to prevent Ming from just stomping everyone in Asia, but it will be an interesting campaign, I guess. In any case, like I said, I will be exporting all the videos, and see you next Sunday. Have fun.